All right, fellas, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to Bannerlord, and we continue with our Siege, Castle, and City Siege Defense series. And this has been a request a lot of late. Not Legetta, and we're not going to have 908 defenders against 700 attackers. We are going to besiege here. We are going to do some offensive siege here for an episode or two. We are going to start by sieging Legetta. There's a strong force of Valandians inside, 774, and we have 908 attackers. Normally, that's not the kind of ratio you want to siege, right? You're going to want about 2 to 1 or more on the defenders. But with some tactics here, I think we can pull this off. Both sides have tier 3 through 6 units, and we gave them militia just to sort of simulate a normal defensive siege. Now, a lot of times, of course, in the defense series, we are defending with 300. Here, we'll give the AI 800 troops and see how they do. We'll set a baseline here to see if the AI has any chance of sieging itself. Offensively, I don't have high hopes here. And in fact, I'll try to point out some of the things that I see that are problematic. Of course, experienced players already know this, but some players may not, and I will explain my philosophies. First, the AI has its archers kind of all globbed up here behind this cover, but they get hit by catapults, right? They get hit by counter siege, and they basically just stand there without shooting anything until they get killed in large groups by catapults. So that's one thing we're going to do different for sure. We're going to use those guys more aggressively. We're going to spread those guys out. We're not going to try to hide behind those little tiny covers. Same thing with the infantry. Again, they have them all jammed up here so that every catapult kills like 20 guys. A lot of them can't throw their javelins because there's some fucking guy in the way. Now here, they started to spread out and they caused great damage. That's almost like your Q right there, right? That's how you should use them. Spread out like that so that every guy can throw. They're less likely to be shot because there's not a guy right next to them. And of course, they can use all those powerful Battanian throwing weapons. The enemy shouldn't be able to stand on the wall very confidently against you if you have Battania. You should be able to pelt them until they decide they don't want to defend the wall. Now, so far, they're doing okay. They're almost obtaining a 1-to-1 kill ratio. Of course, I don't expect that to last, right? In fact, you see the counter siege is now starting to explode them en masse. We will probably do a little bit of editing here so you don't have to sit through the next 5 minutes, and we will come right back. So this side is now completely unattacked. The offensive forces really are starting to melt. They're being hammered at the gate. Of course, they've been getting meat grinded at the gate for a while. They gave up this side over here with the siege tower some time ago, so they've really only had a 2-pronged assault. Now they're bringing up archers. Much too late, right? They needed to bring up those archers and support their troops earlier. They just lost the siege tower, and friendly troops are fleeing. You have lost the battle. Another ignominious failure for you and Caladog as the Valandians celebrate. And they only scored 350 kills, so it didn't even kill half of the defenders here. Let's beat that, right? I don't know if we can succeed in taking the city almost 1-to-1 against an equal quality force, but I think we'll be able to do a lot better than 350 kills. And if we play our cards right, if we play our units right, maybe we'll be able to take the city. Now, the first thing I like to do is I like to leave 3 units on charge of the AI, at least 3 units, the 2 siege towers and the ram. However, I don't want those to have all our best units on them, right? They're all globbed up. So what I like to do is I like to make my own infantry division and make it a high-level division, the 2nd division. That way it doesn't interfere with the AI on either siege tower or the ram, but I'm going to steal a bunch of these troops from the 1st, 3rd, and 4th division. We're also going to make a very strong 5th division that this guy, this little Carfid or whatever his name is, he will captain that division. And it's a mixed division of skirmishers and archers. Finally, I'm going to control the 7th and 8th, a couple archer divisions. So really, I am controlling and micromanaging 4 divisions for this battle. I do that because I don't like messing with the AI that's on the siege towers. If you leave the AI alone on the siege tower and ram, it does a decent job of, you know, smashing the door down and then trying to get in. If you fuck with those guys, a lot of times there's nobody on the ram, etc. Right? It also makes it so I don't have to micromanage the whole battlefield, right? Just this elite 5th division, the 2nd division, which will be basically shock infantry. I mean, there's some shields in there as well, but then the 2 archer divisions, which we will try to position as we advance our troops throughout the city here. So it's 4 divisions, the 2nd, the 5th, the 7th, and the 8th. And notice we're going very spread from the beginning because the enemy has catapults. We're simulating that the enemy had a fire catapult and a regular catapult. It does enormous damage to your troops if they're compacted. So we're stealing our best troops from where we know they're going to get obliterated on the 1st, 3rd, and 4th division, and we're putting them in our spread out divisions where our guys can attack, right? They're going to be spread out and they're going to be shellacking the defenders on the walls, right? This is going to look very different from the outset. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm going to just position these guys intelligently, right? I don't have a horse, so I got to kind of get some high ground here. We're just going to position them pretty close, right? We're audacious here. We're positioning our troops to destroy everything on the walls. Now, these guys have no cover, right? They're not using those little covers, and I'll explain that a little bit more. In fact, next battle, we'll do a little bit of a quasi micromanagement where I'll show you where you can do a little bit of a hybrid approach. The key though is every single archer skirmisher here is spread out and they are unloading. You can see that you can hear the javelins, the archers are going crazy. This is highly effective. Even though they don't have cover, you win by sheer numbers here, right? Every attacker on the wall gets 3 javelins, a throwing axe, and 5 arrows, and they die, right? And of course you can add your bow. You should definitely be doing this in a siege. The first couple minutes of a siege, maybe even the first 5 minutes, all you're doing is just sort of observing conditions, right? You as the commander, I mean, unless you're shooting, of course, but as far as moving troops, you've already positioned your troops to succeed. Now we just wait, right? We wait for the siege towers to move up. We wait for our troops to execute anybody who tries to defend the walls. You can pick up some javelins. This guy's, I guess he's got 2 quivers of arrows here. We're waiting for that siege tower, but we're also softening the enemy up, right? The enemy's dumb enough to put their troops up there. They look like they're facing the wrong direction. Thank you very much. And we just wax archers, kill anybody who's up here, little militia, trying to defend the walls. The death spam looks good, right? We're already eating into their defenses. It's 80% green. Now this 4th division will do its thing, right? They were on the siege tower. I'm not going to fuck with those guys at all. I want them going up. They're the initial division. That siege tower is almost down. So we may only have 1 siege tower. That's okay, though. As long as we have at least 1 and the ram, we can still pull this off. Let's give them an archer division. We can give them the 6th. If you do not micromanage archers, the AI will do a decent job of putting it behind cover. But again, a lot of times they're just absolute fodder for the counter siege. You can still hear them hitting us. The counter siege is still killing our troops, but it's not killing them like it did the previous AI, where it was 20 every single explosion. Now it's going to be soon, right? Because our troops are starting to stack up on the siege tower. It's unavoidable. We're going to have losses here, right? The AI is blasting us with fire catapults and other catapults. Let's get these archers better positioned. This is our elite, the 8th division. They're off to the side intentionally so they don't get hit by siege. The siege generally won't fire way off to the side of the map. You can kind of tuck your troops out of sight and it won't fuck with them as much. Notice we're not charging with those guys yet, right? The 5th division we can add, right? These guys can now be told to get up there. That's one of our elite 2 divisions that we're micromanaging. Now we're augmenting the 4th division, which is under control of the AI, right? We're basically trying to blow a hole on this side of the keep. Now the other side's active, right? You can see there's guys on the ram, and the siege tower over there is busy, right? So we're keeping the enemy busy in all 3 spots here. These guys are getting stuck. Sometimes you got to kind of shove them around. Now, whenever you see a huge flush of red like that, that's almost certainly the AI troops that are all stacked up, right? There's 50 of them, and they're just getting all killed by a single catapult. Now we're leaving one archer division down there to give us cover, right? The 8th stays down there for the time being. The 7th comes up, and now I'm going to try to basically shove these troops past the enemy. If it makes them attack them, that's okay. But what you really want to do is shove them past in a square. And what those guys will do is stop attacking the enemy and run right by them, right? You want as many guys in the city as possible early on because we need this breach to happen. In fact, we just blew open this wall. The AI is starting to rout, and now we're going to start to take control of this side of the city. Now, this is an important step right here. Don't just rush in and, the keep is taken. Expect a counterattack, right? They will try to counter you. They will send more troops. So what we're going to do is hold a puncture point. We got to get the rest of our troops up. Of course, here's where I mentioned before, it's unavoidable. You're going to have losses. Those fucks over there just flaming our troops. Apologies. There's no way around that. Those guys are going to flame your troops. It's just par for the course. But what we want to do is hold this wall. We want to make sure that the enemy doesn't stack up a whole bunch of infantry up here and regain this siege tower. If we can keep this siege tower open, in other words, the ladder, that guy didn't like me shooting him. If we can keep this siege tower open for business, then we're going to be in good shape. You got to let your guys trickle up here. And again, don't be in a hurry. Unless you're out of troops, right? But we still have quite a bit of troops down there. They're still getting flamed by catapults. But we're starting to develop a little assault force up here, right? And you notice I'm sending the 8th Corps down in the courtyard for flanking fire. And the 7th Archers, the 7th Division, in a big long line up here. Those guys are to make sure that we hold this siege tower. You have to keep the door open before you can push the rest of your troops through. Now, as soon as you start to get 20, 30, 40 guys, now you can begin some operational activity. Right now I can send these infantrymen. It looks like we can have them attack near the front gate. I can bring up some archers here also to assist 7th and 8th. Because these guys didn't get melted early on by counter siege too, we have some of our best archers for this critical stage, right? The siege is in the nitty gritty now. I could go either way. Let's put archers in big sprays and use the enemy's defenses against them, right? We'll drag this archer corps. This is our best archers. We've saved them for this moment. Now they're there just raking the enemy at the front gate. They're protected. There's an infantry division in front of them. Behind us, the 7th is still holding that wall. We can actually move them up. It's time to get aggressive here. The enemy's kind of reeling. I still see troops on the other side over there. Coming up the siege tower, right? These guys are holding the walls. It's a little tenuous, but we got this shit, right? Now we got 50, 60 archers firing down on the enemy. We can split a division here and give them yet another angle on the enemy. And this siege is over. You can just tell. In fact, that little stall is probably the AI trying to figure out how can we rout everybody because this battle is over. This stage, it's all over but the crying, right? And this is why, right? We've positioned our troops. We were patient. We got a bump on the walls. It's tactics, right? It's fairly basic tactics. But for a lot of people in Castle Siege, maybe that's something they haven't seen before. And that's it, fellas. This is a siege. The AI didn't even kill half the defenders. We take the city with almost 200 survivors. All right, so that was pretty easy. Let's do an even harder one. Let's see. We can do. We'll be right back. We'll do a different city. Let's see. We'll add a fire onager here. So let's do another siege. Let's make this extremely difficult. We'll do. Let's do a Batanian castle, Lanaken castle. And we'll say the Valandians took it, and now they're defending it with a huge force. We'll make this stupid hard. Now we're badly outnumbered, which is normally not a thing. You're not really supposed to be able to assault castles when you're outnumbered. But we've got a fire catapult and a regular catapult, and I'm going to show you guys. Of course, a lot of you guys know how to use. This is for the guys who haven't really done this and really mangled the enemy with one of these. We're going to use a fire onager to great effect. Now the AI is going to try to defend where there are ladders. So what I want to do is I want to try to get the ladders there on the left. We've got one siege tower and one ladder, and you want good line of sight for your catapult, right? I like this other location. You have the ability to position these where you want, and that's going to be a great location. We'll switch the siege tower to the other side. Now what I'm going to do here is assault the right side of the city from the fire catapult. I'm actually going to command and blow up the enemy at the same time. I mentioned it before, of course, we're going to both steal from these first, third, and fourth divisions, make a second division of elite troops, right? We can make these shielded elite troops because those guys are going to be some of the first guys up the siege tower. Again, we will do a fifth division. That's going to be a mixed division. And then I think we'll just control the 8th division. I will let you see what happens if you just let the archers do their thing. A hybrid assault actually works pretty well as long as the AI has good places to run to. And I'll show you that if it happens, and if not, we'll micromanage. All right, so the 2nd division, 5th division, 8th division. I'm going to position these guys, and then I'm going to run to that fire onager, and we're going to do fire onager 101 course here. They can be used to great effect in a castle like this once you kind of have your bearings. So let's add this other. We've got another catapult that can add to it here. And we're going to have to do major damage with this fire catapult because we're outnumbered, right? We can't just charge the walls and think we're going to be able to win. We're going to have to devastate the enemy and help them blow a hole with the fire catapult. But then at the same time, we're going to pressure the shit out of the enemy on the right and try to blow open a hole. All right, so the 2nd is told to hold. The 5th and the 8th are moved up and spread, right? Those guys, that's the 2nd. That's our elite infantry. The 5th is mixed, and the 8th is that elite archer division, right? Now, the 6th and the 7th, the AI is in charge of that. I'm not doing that. Those guys are going to defensive spots. Some are taking cover, and it's not bad positioning, so I'm going to let those guys go. The 7th and the 6th, the AI is in charge of them. Now, we've got a while, right? The siege tower is going to take a while to roll up here. I'm not going to fuck with the 1st, 3rd, or 4th division. What I want to do now, in fact, I can see them from here. Do you see those scum Valandians on the walls? We want to immolate those guys. Now, this dipshit on the fire catapult didn't kill anybody here, right? So get off our fire catapult. You're replaced. We're going to do major work. Now, the left-right is self-explanatory, but a lot of guys don't really know that you can control how far these fireballs go. It's very, very finesse, right? Right above his helmet, there's a little tiny red thing, and basically that is your distance, right? If you zoom in right above his helmet there, here, I'll move it up and down for you to see. That is the distance that the fire catapults go. Then you just use your high definition monitor. Of course, we're benefiting here from a 4K monitor, and you hone in on the enemy, and you're either trying to split the gap between the two ladders like that, or you're trying to hit where the enemy's being supplied from. Now they're generally coming from near the gatehouse, right? So right now we're splitting the two ladders, which is probably the hardest shot. But once you get dialed in, the catapult is pretty steady. It has a little bit of variability to it, but you notice I'm not doing anything here. I'm just talking and firing over and over again, and the enemy is just melting away, right? Now, the key thing here is that we're not going to attack this direction. We're just using this to occupy the enemy and to weaken their forces before we assault them on the right? And it's having exactly the desired effect. We're badly outnumbered here. We must take advantage of this, right, to win this siege. And this guy, I mean, this is just the G-spot right here. I'm splitting the ladders beautifully. We have 2 siege ladders there. You can probably just make it out. Our troops are coming up, and I don't know if I've hit more than 1 or 2 of our troops. Meanwhile, this guy's killed like 100 and something Valandian scum. Now, if it goes over every once in a while, you just adjust, right? You just lower it just the tiniest bit. It gets out of whack naturally. Now let's start to target the supply spot, right? There's a little stairway there. If you don't know the castle, I'll just tell you. There's a stairway there. We're getting pretty close to charging on the right here. And you can do it all from this spot here, right? Now, I have several of these fireballs, so we're just going to continue to target this right side, or left side, but we're going to start to charge on that far side, right? That 2nd and 5th division, you tell them to charge. Right now that the siege tower is there, I can see the guys over there diligently climbing the siege tower. The archers, that 8th Corps is still hanging back. We're going to need them, right? This siege is hardly over. I mean, you can see we are starting to make some major dents in their troops. Of course, a lot of it's just been this guy. This guy's the MVP, just immolating the shit out of Valandians. It seems like these fireballs will never run out. They will in a couple more shots. And we're starting to hit our own guys. That's actually a good sign. That means that they're starting to breach the walls, right? That means that those guys are up there fighting on the walls. And that wasn't perfect catapult work, but that's pretty damn good. That's a lot of kills. And now we can start advancing our real onslaught. Again, all our weak troops are on the left. They're just there just to distract the enemy, right? All warfare is based on deception. We're reading and following Sun Tzu. Over here, we have the 2nd, 5th, and 8th Corps. These guys are getting kind of stuck. And we're going to shove a hole, just like we did at Lagetta, with these 3 divisions. Now, it's chaotic, right? There's Valandians defending here. And get him a shield here. This guy doesn't have a shield for some reason. And they got some crossbow here. We're going to start pushing forward troops, but we're also going to start positioning archers just like Lagetta on their walls. We're not going to rush to the front gate. We're not in a big hurry because we've got all these troops that we've got to get up this siege tower. That's one of the things I've learned in Siege is be methodical, right? Just slowly work your way through the city. If you've got 150 troops here, charge, right? Start to get aggressive. But when you have 20 or 30, just hold the line, right? This is such a fun game. You guys can probably hear I'm still a little bit under the weather, but strong like bull, right? We're no worries here. We're not dying. I'm not that old, fellas. All right, so just reinforcing this side, and now that we've got a little bit of a breach, we've got some offensive troops pushing forward, but I want these archers spread out, right? Again, just like the previous battle, we're not in a hurry to get to the gate until we have at least 50 troops. Then we can start making a concerted push. I would prefer more than 50 because every once in a while the AI will get, a big reinforcement batch and just blow you out. But here, we're not getting shot at, right? So there's no hurry. We're just going to drag these archers down these steps a little bit, put them in positions where they can shoot the enemy and make them come to us, basically. We've got this siege tower held. We've got some troops down there kind of scrumming. We can send a square through the gate. That should help. And again, just let your units work. Part of the reason that archers are so important in Bannerlord is it's the easiest way to get tactical advantages on the enemy, right? If you can get archers in good positions, that's half the battle. Whether it was Frederick the Great or Napoleon, many of their battles were all about getting cannons and or troops in optimal positions, right? That's what much of battlefield tactics are. These guys are in a nice spread. The Valandians are sending some troops over, but the key is that we're holding this breach and guys continue to trickle up. There's actually kind of chaos outside. It looks like the Valandians, for some reason, are charging our troops outside the courtyard, which is bizarre. They should be attacking us here. Maybe they think they have an opportunity here. They don't. And it's close, but methodical, right? And this is, when you're outnumbered like this, it's going to be close, right? Unless you have an incredibly elite army, it's going to be a difficult battle. But it looks like success, right? Unless, oh shit, we got some troops pouring at us. They're making a concerted effort to stop this siege tower. But we've got these 30 archers here just spraying the shit out of them. As soon as these guys come into view, right, they get smoked. All right, now it's time to start moving up aggressively. This siege is all but over. And at this stage, it's just systematically moving up, right? You're moving up 50 feet at a time. You don't want to run too far. You just want to systematically move up, keep your guys shooting, make units, route, kill units as you move up. I mean, at this stage, you guys pretty much get it. This siege is over. Make sure here we'll shoot some of these bathrobe-wearing militia in the back. So I didn't run the sergeants here because they can't win, right? If the AI's in charge here outnumbered, they're just not going to win. They won't use the fire catapults like I did. They won't use their archers and spread them out like we did. These kind of tactics here, you're going to have to do yourself, right? If you want something done, you got to do it yourself. All right, fellas. So we're going to wrap this episode up as we wrap up the Valandians here. Another successful siege, 2 for 2 in this episode. If you want to see a particular city or castle, I'm game to try some challenges. Some castles and cities are much harder than others. This one, I would say, is both of these, Legetta and Lanaken, are kind of middle of the road. They're not really hard, but they're not easy takes either. All right. Like I said, if you want to see more, let me know. Leave any recommendations or criticism or tips, right? If there's things that I could be doing better, I'm always game to improve. Of course, then I can help other players improve. Much of what I've learned from the smart enthusiasts that come to the channel. You guys help make the community better. You guys help make this channel better for those that come and learn. All right, with all that said, of course, you want to subscribe if you want to see more. Please hit the notifications if you want to see when new videos come out. Leave comments. Your favorite color in the comments area. And with all that said, friends, I will see you guys next time.